God, it's like we think God needs us to feel him working and to see him working for him to work. That's not how it works. He never stopped working. And what is it that he's working? Right? Is he like out in your garden plowing the soil there? No, he's working in the garden of your heart. And you know what he's doing, working in the garden of your heart? He's working to pluck out the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or all of the thoughts of the knowledge of good and evil that are in this world. He's working to pluck out the darkness and the death that's coming against your life. He's always working to serve you with life. He's always working to protect your life. He's always working to deliver you from what's trying to come against your life. He's always working to defend your name. He's always working to defend your heart. He's always working to defend your life. And he never stops working. And if we actually believe that, and it's not an intellectual thing, you can't like decide in your head you believe that and then go forward and never ever feel distraught again. But the whole point is that when you feel distraught, we're the kind of beings, we're the kind of creatures that need to be reminded all of the time. I mean, Peter says, I do not cease to put you in remembrance of all these things, even though you already know it. 1 John comes and says, I write to you fathers, not because you don't know the truth, but because you do know it. We need to be reminded. And so, man, just to remind you right now, you might have something going on in your life that is like a giant. You might feel weak. Well, listen, man, your weakness is not a sign God isn't working. And your weakness is not a sign that strength isn't present with you. Your weakness does not mean that you don't have the strength that you need to overcome, because the strength that you need to overcome is not found in yourself. And when you feel weak, guess what? That doesn't mean God's weak. When you feel weak, your weakness does not overcome the strength of the Lord. And what you need in that moment is to be reminded. He never stops. He never stops working. You need to be reminded that he's with you, that he's even in you. You are the tabernacle of God. And he hasn't just come and tabernacled with you for no reason. He come and tabernacle with you to keep your house. Right? And if you feel weak, you just need to be reminded that God's with you. And then all of a sudden, you'll feel strong. You'll realize he never stops working. Right? And the cross is the biggest picture of that, where it looked like all was lost. Yet he was working. You might see a cross in your life right now, and you might think death is looming over you, and you might feel shadowed by the death that you think is looming over your life. But God is in the midst of that darkness with you, just like God was in the midst of the darkness in Genesis, working to bring order to the chaos and confusion that's swirling around you. He never stops. He never stops working. You guys that are parents, how many of you stopped working to serve your kids? Some of you got grown kids and you're still working to serve them. Listen, it's a natural example of the Lord, how he never stops working. His mind is never far from you. His mind is never far from your life. His mind is never far from what's going on in your heart. His mind is never indifferent to what is trying to hurt your life. He cares about your life more than you do. He never stops. He never stops working. Shelley, you want to say something?
During worship, the Lord gave me an image, a vision, and the vision was of someone. I'm shaking. In a solid dark room, and there was someone in there, and I could, even though it was dark, I could see there was someone in there on the floor in shackles, and I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And this is what he said, and it's interesting that you were just saying what you're saying, because God wants this person to know whatever's going on. He said, I am your God. I have set the captive free. Even though you find yourself within shackles, I am the God who set you free. I've broken all those chains. I am the light that consumes all the darkness. Allow me to consume the darkness. So I felt like the Lord was also saying that sometimes we find ourselves in the midst of a situation that's beyond our control, and we can be assured that he's in the midst of that, consuming that darkness. But I felt like he was saying that there's someone that needs to know you've allowed yourself, and not in an ugly way, that that the lie of the enemy or something has come and allowed you to go down that road again or find yourself back in captivity to something. And the Lord said, I am the light. I am with you right smack in the midst of that darkness. But I want you, because God will not override our will. He will not do that. But he said, I am within you. Allow me to consume that darkness in your life. I am with you. You are not alone. Let me take those chains off once again.
Yeah. Glory to God.